Austin P, it's in the rearview mirror now. The page has been flipped to a rivalry game in Florida and a place where you haven't won since '03. Quickly, I do want to play this clip. This is from Josh Heupel and from Jacob Warren. It's something that we, media, fans alike, kind of make a big talking point. Tennessee hadn't won since '03 in the Swamp. What does the current team think about that? Give this a listen, Josh Heupel and Jacob Warren.
It's a great environment, you know. At the end of the day, in this game, and yesterday has nothing to do with today. The previous game, our previous play, has nothing to do with what's going to happen on the next play. It's about preparing the right way, practicing the right way. That will lead to you playing the right way.
I think it's something that, in the nicest way possible, everyone outside of the building cares about and talks about and thinks is a big deal. I don't think to most of the guys on the team, like you mentioned, the younger guys, like whether they really know about it or not, I'm not sure. But just one of those things, again, that doesn't really matter, right? When we're on the field, who cares how long it's been, right? Whether it's here or there or whatever. I'm just going out there and just trying to compete and be the best on this day. Obviously, it'd be great to win there for sure after this many years, but something that we're not necessarily worried about.
I mean, I completely agree. The 2010, 2011, 2013, whatever ones of those teams are playing in the Swamp, it has no bearing on 2023 Tennessee, Florida. It has no bearing. But the fact of the matter is, Brent, Tennessee hadn't won down there since the Iceman. It has been a minute. I mean, that environment, why is it so challenging to win at the Swamp for Tennessee?
Well, the problem with this streak that they're on right now is they've given too many games away. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, look, there's a couple Urban Meyer games in there where they absolutely got it handed to them, right? And those were a couple of really long, bad days for Tennessee. You had the 05 game down there, which was a low-scoring game, and the game changes on a fake punt. A backed-up fake punt that was called. Then you have the out pattern that turned into a touchdoam that wasn't a
17
play that they gave up. Then in 15 they give up the Hail Mary play, right? Am my years right, AP?
That's right.
Be wrong, So it's not just that they've lost there for Tennessee fans; it's how they've lost some of these most recent ones. I mean, Butch Jones could have very easily been 4-0 against Florida. He could have won 4 in a row against Florida very easily. He lost on 2 basically final plays, at Florida. They blew a game in Knoxville where Florida couldn't score, but they ended up throwing an interception and give Florida or had a fumble and gave Florida short field a chance to win it. So Florida's not been good enough or not been great. Tennessee just hasn't taken advantage of it because Tennessee's not been good enough either. And even last year, Tennessee wins at home, but that thing gets dicey at the end. Tennessee just had a hard time finishing them off, finishing this team off, whether it's at home or at Florida. But the ones at Florida, they've given more away the last 10 years than Florida's really taken from them, to be honest.
So it's always tough to play on the road, the SEC,
Sure.
but
It's
playing
loud.
down in the Swamp necessarily isn't like going.
No, it's loud. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's loud. It's hot. When they're good, it's really loud. There's been many times during this streak that Tennessee's rolled in there and Florida fans didn't care much about the game because they didn't think Tennessee had a shot to win it. There's been some other times when there Florida fans weren't looking forward to the game because they didn't think their team was good enough to win it. It'll be rocking Saturday night. Tennessee will have to get settled into this game offensively, get calm, get all their, energy out, whatever you get, emotions, whatever, and get calm because it'll be loud and ready to go. But, I mean, Florida's not walking around with the swagger right now that they walked around the last few years from a fan base standpoint, in my opinion.
No, Hubs bits it on the head. It's going to be loud out the jump. But everybody there is looking for a reason to leave because they're not excited about this Florida team. They know they're not going to be good, but they know that they've got this kind of run against Tennessee. They want to keep that going. And if they can keep that going. But if Tennessee comes out and they jump on them early, kind of like they did at LSU last year, the Swamp will get drained in a hurry. Like I just don't think the fans will hang in there and hope for a comeback. Like I really believe that they're looking for a reason to leave. They're going to show up because it's Tennessee and it's what they do, and they beat Tennessee for 20 years in a row, and it's what they do. But they're looking for a reason to leave, in my opinion. And I think if Tennessee, it's up to Tennessee to give them a reason.
Yeah, but the longer they stay in it, the louder and more
100%.
raucous that place
Yep.
will
You got to get off to a quick start. That first quarter, and Hubs has talked about this, and we'll talk about it all week about how, one touchdown, one field goal, 5 punts, and 2 turnovers on down. The first quarter is massive in this game.
Look at Florida this year, and of course, as you mentioned, it's a team rebuilding. Not fans not overly excited about it. Not excited about the quarterback play. They got 2 talented running backs. The defense last year, you lost a whole lot of production, and it wasn't a typical Florida defense either. So very much rebuilding. But of course, it's going to be a good game. It always is a good game. Last year turned into a good game when Tennessee was out, by a lot, and ultimately only won by 4 or 5 points. Only the second win since 2004 last year. And if you win down in the swamp this week, Rob, it's going to be the first time since 2003. Real quick, let's hear what Josh Heupel had to say about Florida, some of the challenges for Florida, their skill, their personnel, and what they're going to try to do to make things difficult for Tennessee.
Playing a really good football team here. Great opportunity. You come to Tennessee because you want to play in these types of games, these types of environments, sitting on prime time Saturday night. Great challenge in front of us, really good football team. The big, strong, athletic on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Skill players on both sides are really good, great speed, and will be a huge test for us. So, yeah, they got great team speed. You got athletes that can go make plays in space. You got to bottle up the run game. That's a huge part of what they do, and that sets up their play action pass. A year ago, they hurt us with some of that. We got to be able to fit the run and then play assignment sound and play the ball well when it's in the air. This will be the best offensive line that we've seen. They're big, strong, they're athletic, and look like a typical Florida offensive line.
Rob, we know what Florida's going to try to do offensively. We spoke with Nick Delatorre of Gators Online on the Rocky Top Rewind. Encourage you guys to go look at that interview. A lot of good stuff there. But, Graham Mertz is a game manager, if you will. You don't want Graham Mertz trying to win you football games. Florida's got 2 good running backs, so they're going to try to run the football on offense. But, Rob, I'm curious, and maybe we'll study more of it as the week goes on, but what's going to be that game plan against Tennessee's offense? Are they going to stack the box and say you're not going to beat us running, Joe Milton? You got to throw some downward passes and try to beat us, or kind of what's that strategy do you think is going to be against Tennessee's tempoed offense?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because we really haven't seen, like most Power 5 teams, Florida's not been tested yet. They would have been tested at Utah, but with the quarterback situation that the Utes were, they weren't, facing somebody where they really had to, guard sideline to sideline, and worry about the ball getting thrown over their head. And then McNeese State, no kind of challenge last week. But, man, if you just look at some of the numbers for Florida, what jumps out the most to me, it just, from raw stats and Eric, looking at stuff early, is just not, being disruptive defensively. They only have 2 sacks through 2 games and only 10 total tackles for a loss. What Tennessee have 11 on Saturday against Austin Peay? Even when Florida's been bad or not, what we've expected, they've always generally had a couple of dudes in the front 7, and and maybe somebody emerges at some point. But to this point, they've just not been really disruptive on that side of the ball. I think Tennessee's going to lean on the run game. Utah had some success that way, but they were pretty one-dimensional. So I think Florida was able to stack it. But they'll be able to do the same thing unless Joe, proves that, he can hit a couple of passes in the 10 to 20 yard range. So I think everybody right now, until Milton proves otherwise, is just going to, press the line of scrimmage, because that's pretty clearly been, Tennessee's strength in the run game right now. So, they're going to have to, not just Joe's going to have to prove that he can make some throws into tight windows when it matters. And overall, I'm going to put it up on the tee. Your third down numbers. I'm teeing it up for you. I was going to say the reason I mentioned something about this. The reason the ugly third down numbers are so head scratching is they're averaging over 6 yards a carry and still not moving the chains.
Yeah, and there's a couple things that have happened there. One, they've had a couple series where they clearly were trying to get the passing game going. and so they've thrown it more than they've run it. They've had a couple penalties that have knocked them off schedule and put them in 3rd and long. And then they've had 3 3rd and 1s that just got blew up in the backfield. I mean, just absolutely blown up for a team that spent this time last offseason, a year ago offseason, the whole focus was on winning in short yardage. They're asking their offensive line in a couple of those short yardage plays to do some really hard stuff in terms of pulling into run blitzes and different things like that. I think what's going to be intriguing about this game, Austin, is everybody's going to focus on the quarterback, right? They're going to focus on Tennessee's passing game. They're going to focus on Florida's speed. Can they get the ball out? Can they get the ball to their speed guys? To me, it's about the line of scrimmage. And you say, well, every game's about the line of scrimmage. It is, but, this is the best offensive line Tennessee's defensive front has gone against. How good is Tennessee's defensive front? We think it's pretty good. I think Virginia's bad in the offensive line. Watch the James Madison game. I think Austin Peay is bad in the offensive line as well. So is Tennessee that good, or have they played not very good competition? The flip side of that is Florida's not been able to get to the quarterback. Tennessee's offensive line wasn't great against multiple looks from Austin Peay. So how do the line of scrimmages play out in this game? It will be pretty fascinating to watch. I expect Florida to be super aggressive, and I think Tim Banks has still got a lot in the old back pocket, AP.
Yeah, I agree. They've been able to get home and get pressure, whether it be with their tackles or with their edge guys in the first couple of games. How many times Saturday did Tennessee's defensive line have such good penetration that you thought they were going to literally take the handoff and then somehow miraculously, Austin Peay would get the handoff off, and then the kid would end up gaining a few yards when you thought at the second end of the play, this is going to be a 3 or 4 yard loss. Tennessee's defensive line has been super active through 2 games, and offensive line wise, we'll see. Florida hadn't been able to get home, and Tennessee, a couple of times they looked to take a shot on Saturday, missed a protection, and those type of things. Tennessee they do have to, really give Joe some time, and I think I'm not saying you need to throw a ton of short passes, but at the same time, I think they need to get him in some type of rhythm early. Let him just see the ball get completed a couple of times. And is that a 5-yard hitch? Is that is that just going laterally for the first couple of throws just to kind of see and get him into the flow of the game instead of trying to take a deep shot or throw a 15-yard out or whatever? I think some of that stuff's important just to kind of get him some confidence, because I know he walks around and exudes it, but he deep down feels a little bit of pressure to perform well on Saturday, especially if he doesn't win, those comments that he made back in the summer, but he's never lost in the state of Florida or whatever. I mean, they really dig back up.
Well, no doubt. Here's the thing too, Eric. I wonder Tennessee's not seeing much single safety high looks defensively. If Florida jumps into that, I think Tennessee takes a big shot early down the field if they can get that kind of look with the field to work with. Maybe just to let Joe get it out of, get one out of his system. He may overthrow it a little bit, but that may be the easier throw for Joe right now than it is to throw a 20-yard over route or a 15-yard dig. If they get that single safety high look, they may just take off down the sideline and let him heave one up. They've just not gotten a lot of those looks. Virginia was in split safeties most of the entire game, and so was Austin Peay. There were times Austin Peay went 0 and Tennessee was going to take a shot and the protection didn't hold up. I don't think Florida will do that a ton, but if they get a single safety high look to stop the run, if the defense is in that, stop the run, don't you think Tennessee's going to take a shot there, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like for the most part, these first 2 ball games, they pretty much just said, all right, we're going to try to keep everything in front of us. We don't want the big arm Joe to beat us over the top. We're going to scoop, we're going to try to keep everything in front of us is kind of what it seemed like if you simplify things. But Florida's going to play, what Florida wants to do. I mean, it's an SEC defense. It's going to play its defense. And I was doing a hit this morning. I actually said it, and I kind of made myself laugh. But, Austin, it's literally UBU. I mean, Tennessee's going to run its offense. I mean, Tennessee's going to have a game plan. It's going to try to tailor it to, obviously, Joe Milton's strengths. And if it's not there, they're going to adapt it as the game goes along, just like against Austin Peay and all that. But, Tennessee's going to try to run Tennessee's offense, and that's getting one-on-one matchups and taking some shots with the ground game opening all that up. So, absolutely, if they get single high safety, I fully anticipate Tennessee taking some shots down the field, and you hit one, AP or Rob, you hit one, and then all of a sudden Joe's feeling himself, got some confidence, and then who knows what this offense can do after that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of you talked about earlier about stacking the box. Make Tennessee's, don't let Tennessee's run game get going and make Joe complete passes to beat you. That's why Joe's got to be able to stretch it vertically, Rob.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be able to, not allow Florida to dictate things with their defense. And if he can, complete the 15 and 20-yard passes, I'm not even talking about the bombs. I'm talking about the things that can
the intermediate
stretch
stuff,
them a little bit. That to me, Rob, that's where Tennessee's offense really wakes up a little bit.
Yeah, be honest. I don't think anybody's expected Jalen Wright to average 9 yards a carry on in Gainesville.
If he does, it's going to be Travis Stevens X.
If he does, great. Then none of the stuff that people are worried about with Joe is going to matter. But it is. It is going to matter. And they're going to have to get. You can't be in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3 all day. Sometimes on 2nd, 6, Joe's going to have to hit a Brew McCoy on a 15-yard in over the middle and move the sticks. And I'm just fascinated to see how it's going to work out, because I don't want to. I don't know how much pressure he's under, but I think it's pretty significant. I'd be interested to know what you guys think for how much pressure he's facing relative to what we've seen other quarterbacks. You're talking about a Tennessee team that's ranked in the top 10 and playing a place they haven't won in 20 years. Joe's had some success, but hadn't quite proved it yet. I think it's a pretty big spot.
Brent, if he doesn't play well, it's going to get loud. I'm not saying a change is coming. I'm just saying it's going to get really loud if Joe Milton doesn't play well in the Swamp.
Hubbard, am I making too much of it?
No, it's the quarterback position at Tennessee on an offense that everybody believes is going to be successful every year, because
that's a big part of it. That's a very big part of it.
It's you don't have that. There's not a vibe, in my opinion. There's not a vibe from Tennessee fans that you have to have 11 or 9 first-round dudes to go be successful in this offense, because it's been successful everywhere Josh Heupel has worked it, whether it's UCF, whether it's Missouri, wherever. You just got to have a quarterback who can make the throws. And again, it would be different if guys weren't open right now, right? Think of the misses, the drops that have happened. How many of them have been where guys weren't open? Even the slant in the end zone to Dante Thornton, AP. If the ball's in front of him, it's a touchdown because he's
easy
open.
6, yeah.
It's not like these guys are blanketed. How many years did we go down and cover a Florida game, and the storyline was, could Tennessee beat press man? Right? Could Tennessee's receivers beat press man covers? That was, from like 05 to, I don't know, however many years, 4 or 5 years. Felt like it was like, can Tennessee, Florida's going to play man. Can Tennessee beat man coverage? That's not the narrative with Tennessee, because Josh Heupel gets people open. I think that's where the pressure falls on the quarterback, because there's a lot of people feel like, Austin, this offensive scheme makes it really easy for the quarterback to be successful. He's just got to go out and do the physical part of it.
Yeah, and again, they've had guys running open, and Joe has either missed or has put it in a position where his receiver could get 2 hands on it, and the receivers have, come up short. And so they've just got to get on the same page.
Or just flat out drop too. Sorry to jump in front of you, but some of those throws, 4 of those throws, were good balls the other day, and the receivers just let him down. So even some of those bad balls, and they got their hands on him, whatever, could have been caught probably, but a couple of those were just straight drops.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, with Joe's throws, some of them that were bad balls. The other ones, even if they weren't perfect, the receiver had got 2 hands on it and could have easily caught the football and came up short. So, they have to get on the same page. And, if they do, the Tennessee's offense, I think, can unlock some things this week. And again, I do think that Tennessee's been super, super vanilla. Hubs talked about early, that Tim Banks has still got some, some stuff in the old bag of tricks. So does Tennessee's offense. Like, they've not done a whole lot through 2 games. I expect that to change this week, and we'll see if they can execute said called plays.